Hi everyone. Hi everyone. We are live now officially, and if I look like I'm pulling my hair out a little bit today, I'm not quite at the level of Mike or Russ yet, but
Ooh, ow.
no, I had a crazy weekend. I mean,
Follically challenge is what you're saying, right?
it was one of the greatest weekends I've ever had in Margate. It was beautiful down there. Lucy the elephant's birthday. I got a Lucy the elephant for president poster. I'm going to hang behind me, which is really good. She's a Republican, but I'd vote for her. Because she's an elephant. That's the only reason. That's it. Anyway, but
Russ the chicken is her running mate.
Right. That's awesome. We should put Russ the chicken up as a nominee. So I was down the shore and I'm swimming around and everything like that, and I lost my phone. But the question is, Jill, how do you think I lost my phone? Real quick.
I think that you were playing Pokemon Go.
Ah.
And there was a rare Pokemon, and you were trying to catch him. And no, it's not that you dropped it while you're trying to catch him. He got out of your Pokeball, and out of frustration, you threw your phone.
I think you were trying to take a selfie of the waves behind you, and you didn't see the wave hit you in the back of the head, and you fell down, and your phone kicked backwards into the water.
You guys know me pretty well so far.
I think he downloaded this cool app that would take underwater pics, and he threw it just ahead of him and his son in the water, and then realized the phone's not waterproof.
See, I think you're putting way too much thought into this. I think he simply forgot that the phone was in his pocket, and then he walked into the waves, and only 15 minutes after his pants were soaked, he said, "Oh crap, my phone is in here."
Right. Well, Mike, you know me pretty well. No, this is pretty close. Pretty close. Although you all know that all the things you've said are things that I would definitely do. I mean, they're all within the realm of my ability to be ridiculously stupid in situations like this. So yeah. So basically, what I have like a pair of bathing trunks that I've had forever. I think you only call them trunks if you're over 40, right? But I have this swimsuit that I've had forever, right? And I go in and I'm just swimming, no problem, everything's fine, I'm having a great old time. The day goes on, and I realize that like I put my wallet in the bathing suit, and I realize that there's a hole in the bathing suit pocket, like it just goes straight through, right? And it didn't even occur to me anything. I was like, oh, that's fine. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I won't put my wallet in there. And then it dawned on me, wait a second. Did I put my phone in there earlier? And yeah, that's what happened. So I was like it was just one of those moments like, oh, Lord, I really did that, didn't I? I just put my...
X's going to get a text back from his own phone, and it's going to read, gurgle, gurgle, gurgle.
And the crazy thing is, I was the only, adult sober. So, I mean... It's just like,
That's your problem. That would never.
That's my problem. I mean, everybody.
Can you trace your phone to see where it is in the water?
Yeah.
Perils and pitfalls of sobriety.
Yeah, it's currently joining a group of dolphins that are migrating their way towards the
Gonna run up a bill.
Well, that was the funniest thing too, because we're at the shore. And I'll say this, and then we'll get on to the show. But they're at the shore, and you know how in the Jersey Shore they often will fly the airplanes that drag something behind them for advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Well. We were watching this go, and this happens all day long, and it's fine. And everybody, because of it, honestly, I've never seen advertising work so well. Like, there's that new sparkling water drink that everybody's into. It's
Which one? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, this is a new kind, I guess. It's just sparkling water, alcohol, and lime or whatever it is. And it's just
sounds like a lime Ricky.
Yeah, it's in a can. They're advertising all over the internet, and they're advertising up there too. So I'm watching it up there, and. And then we see another one come by with the actual advertisement facing the other direction, like towards the ocean. And like 2 or 3 of them go by like that. And it dawns on us, that they're advertising obviously to the sea creatures, and we start making up things like, oh, this is like okay, this is like it's like dolphins attack type things they're putting up there. So I run into this guy later in the night who said that his buddy was fired that day, and I'm like, what does he do? Oh, he flies airplanes. He was flying these things backwards all day. Let's talk about small, crazy world. I mean, you got a simple. This is your job is if you're good enough to fly an airplane, aren't you good enough to realize which way the sign is pointing? That sounds.
So I guess did he put it on backwards? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
He puts them on.
Yeah, he puts them on and then takes off, and he's like, okay, I'm flying south, so they better be facing the right way on the right side. If I'm flying north, they have to be facing left. So he's like, he would keep flying the wrong direction. It's crazy. So because he went back and forth both ways, and he just had it completely mixed up. Anyway, that's a fun story.
I hope for your sake that if that
You're a jerk.
I hope for your sake if that school of dolphins did get a hold of your phone that you don't have roaming charges.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure.
Dolphin selfies would be awesome.
Here we go. Yes, they would be.
All right, ring the bell.
It's Christmas in July. Hello, Hockey World. It's Monday, July 25th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology. Oops.
I'm Jillian Fisher.
I like it. Jillian's stepped up the ladder to the final slot. And I'm Eklund. You're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz. I knew I was right. It's Christmas in July, and you're watching HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com, the podcast that comes to you every Monday
I
through
was
Friday.
trying to psych you out.
Yeah, thanks. Every Monday through Friday throughout the year, brought to you by you, people who are happily, or at least we hope happily, supporting us on Patreon.com. At Patreon.com.
Grudgingly giving us money.
Right, Patreon.com/hockey. For those of you who are supporting us, there will be a show immediately following this one. That if you go to Patreon, I'm going to post right after this show. I will post the link. You'll be able to go there, go to Patreon. And if you put in at least $5 a month. I mean, you chose I chose this T-shirt over a date with Mike. Then you're good. You're good. You can watch the show, and if you want to be on that show, email me at eklund@hockeybuzz.com and say just put guest or or host or something like that for the show into the title of your email, and I will try to get you on.
Or Mike is greatness. That would be good.
Or Mike is great, right? And it's gonna be so it's gonna be fun. So we'll have. All of us will be on for a bit, I think, and we'll be in different things, and it'll be fun. So we just really want to do that. We didn't do one last week because we had technical issues. I think they've all been figured out as to how to post this so we can keep out the bad people. Not bad people, but just just make this available only to those of you who subscribe. We appreciate that.
I'll give stuff away, too. Anybody signing up today, let me know what team you like. I'll give stuff away. Nice. Anybody signing up today will get something.
Wow. See, Dan and you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Dan and Russ are always giving away good things.
But I'll wait for the show. And actually, no. You know what? I won't. Here's what I'll give away.
All right.
All-Star relic, Claude Giroux. They don't make that many All-Star relics, so it's a really good card. First newbie who signs up today, I'll give it to you.
There you go.
So you sign up today. Just say what team you like, and you'll get a gift.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Here's another enticement. I was going through some of my cards at in my storage facility in suburban Buffalo, which is also called my mother's basement, and I found this. It's a Rickey Henderson rookie that is so beat up that it looks like it was. Yeah,
I can hear it's a little rough.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, I respect that. You know why I respect that, Mike? I bet you actually played with that card and enjoyed it.
Well, this is not one of those cards that I put in like the spokes of my bike, but I don't know how the hell it got this way, but it's severely damaged. But it is a Rickey Henderson rookie, so for a donation of, let's say, $15 a month or more, you're going to get this card.
There you go.
Also, if you give $15 a month, I will give you something really good. Guarantee you something really good.
It's a valuable card.
It's nice, but I'll add on to that and give you something with 4 sharp corners.
Nice, with 4 sharp corners.
That's fun.
All my cards got destroyed as a kid because I would my hockey cards at least I would tape them to my rod hockey players. I like that. That's cool. It was fun, and that's what I would do. So I would have my own little leagues going. So I would tape them, and I would pull them off, and I would
tape them to stuff too, like to posters and stuff. I did that too.
I mean, the spin hockey players, they were like the old Bobby Hull hockey where they were just flat.
Oh, yeah.
They were totally flat players, they were flat pieces of metal.
I had rod hockey. I think it was I had Flyers versus Penguins. I think it was.
Wow.
Rod hockey.
I had Montreal versus.
Let me see what
Jillian's
I call.
looking up rod hockey. Really?
I
Really,
thought I
Jillian?
called something different.
It's bubble hockey. Besides,
Yeah, it's bubble boy hockey.
Oh,
but
bubble
guys have-
hockey. What the frick is
no,
rod
not
hockey?
the bubble. They called it rod
Yeah.
hockey.
It's not
There's no
hockey.
bubble.
It's
Before
not
the
hockey.
bubbles came, it was just without the bubble. It's like the little you might have played
Nobody
them.
called
I've actually never played rod hockey. I played bubble hockey.
Okay,
but
yeah,
I've
rod hockey's just a smaller, like little household version of it.
It's a household version. Yeah.
Nobody ever called it.
Hockey for excited guys, but
Nobody ever called it what, Russ?
Russ said they never called it rod hockey. I think that's totally wrong. Everybody
What do
called
you
it
call
rod
it,
hockey.
Russ?
It was at that point. I believe it was just like tabletop hockey. I got to see what they called the Bobby Hull game. Hold on.
All right, let's get into the show.
Let's
When
get
you
into
Google
this.
rod hockey, the first thing that comes up is table hockey games.
There you
So
go.
Tabletop hockey
All right,
is pretty much
there
what
you
they
go.
called it.
So this
Okay,
is
fine.
this is like soda or pop or like one of those things. It's
You
really
right. You tell us what you called it. What you called rod hockey. I mean, what do you call it? Rod hockey, stick hockey.
Rod hockey. I had an air hockey table. That was a joint Christmas gift my brother and I got, and my parents regretted it because we fought a lot.
Air hockey's amazing. We have air hockey tournaments. My wife, by the way, we always have this last thing I'll say. We'll get in the show. But when we have parties here at my house, which of course you guys have never been invited to.
No, we've never been.
But when we do have parties for my friends, and her friends, we always, one of the things we'll typically do is have a field of 32, if we have 32, or a field of 16 of parties of a air hockey game. So air hockey tournament, and we set it up. We put the names in the hat. We have the big whiteboard, and I put I seat everybody and stuff like that. It's fun, and my wife has won 5 of these in a row. All right, that's how good air hockey she is. So you're looking at just strangers coming in. Lots of guys are like, the big guys are like, oh yeah, we can not strangers necessarily. We don't invite strangers into our house, but that's what I'm saying. There you have it. So
You also don't invite friends,
yeah.
coworkers.
We just had somebody pledge $5. Awesome.
Okay. What team?
Just
I don't know. I'll
give
find
I'll
out.
give him the Claude Giroux card.
I will find out.
Ask him what team, or if not, I'll just go get something good anyway.
Thank you. Thanks very much for that. I get little things, little alerts. My whole family's like, yay, we got another pledge. All right, so here we go. We're gonna talk a little bit about Yankee Hatgate to start with the show because, it was Austin Matthews, right?
Yeah.
Austin Matthews, yeah. It was a post on Instagram. I just thought it was kind of funny. Nothing serious. It was just he posted, and it was him and a couple of his friends, and it was a silly picture. And in the picture, like you wouldn't notice it at first, he has a Yankees cap on, and I do this and I read the comments, which is, anybody should know this, you should never read the comments, but
Nope.
I read them. I don't abide by society.
Stupid.
And a lot of people were giving him, not like, they weren't mean, they were just like saying, yo, you gotta switch that to a Blue Jays hat now. Like they weren't like, maybe some were probably legitimately pissed, but most of them seemed they were like joking around about it.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, well, who cares? And then I thought, hey, if that was my team, my player, I might be a little bit salty about it.
This is the same debate that happened a few years ago when LeBron James was wearing a Yankees hat.
Right.
Games at Yankee Stadium, and he's a Yankees fan, but because he's from Akron, that he should be, it should be in his DNA to be a Cleveland Indians fan. And all I can say is the same thing I said back then. The Cleveland Indians have had a history of losing. They haven't won a World Series since 1948. So I can understand why somebody would want to root for a 27-time world champion like the New York Yankees. Austin Matthews is from Arizona. If he was wearing a Diamondbacks hat, that would make sense.
To put some context on this, okay, Mike is a Yankees fan, okay, and let's throw this out there. This is important in the whole theme of this story.
Sure.
And of course, Dan and Russ are Mets fans, correct?
No, I'm not. I am a Yankees fan.
Oh, you're a Yankees fan, okay.
But I will say I'm not really a baseball fan. I like the sport.
Okay.
I don't really. I'm a casual Yankee fan.
Okay, so Russ is a Mets fan. Grew up
Right.
written books about the Mets and everything, and so so that's why you have a little fun with this because I'm a believer that that this is that psychologically tells you something about Mike. Like for example, because the whole concept here is that so we have Mike is a Leafs fan, which is like horribly depressing and sad because they don't win. Okay, so in order to counter that in his life, you take the baseball team that's won the most and go with them. So you have
The Leafs have won the second most in the NHL history. So,
yeah, but not in your lifetime. So
Then why all the pictures? All
I
the
was in the
pictures
crib.
are black and white.
I was in the crib.
were you alive when they won the Stanley Cup?
I was alive when they won the Stanley Cup, and I promptly celebrated by taking a dump in my diapers.
He was 22 at the time.
I see. I thought I was older than you, but I guess you're older than me, huh?
Yes, I am.
Right.
But the whole point is here, I don't think that there would be this hue and cry if he was wearing an Arizona Diamondbacks hat because he's from Scottsdale. It's because the Yankees and the Blue Jays have a hate-hate relationship.
They're the same, yeah.
But I'll tell you something.
Yankees are more of a
No.
symbol. Like
Yankees fans don't hate the Blue Jays.
No, go ahead, Jillian. You can go first.
I was just gonna say when I was in college, there were students who were studying abroad from various countries in Europe, and a couple of them wanted to get baseball caps to send back to their friends. And I was trying. They were near Philly. I was like, you should get a Phillies one. That's where you kind of are. they wanted a Yankees one because that is like such an American thing to them. That is, the Yankee is the symbol. And that's why it's a little different for me because it's a Yankees hat. Like if it was, again, if he was wearing maybe a Mets hat, it might be a little different because then I'd be interested to see what his ties for the Mets were. It's not that big of a deal. I thought it was kind of silly.
Well, and I know we're going a little far in it, but we're going there. We're going far for a reason because I have something.
Here's the easy way to explain it for me. In the younger generation now, they just wear hats to wear hats. It's not like 20, 30 years ago where you really wore it if you liked it. I started learning that when every celebrity on earth wore a Yankee hat. And then you would see the oddball who would wear the Met hat. But otherwise, I realized it just became part of like a status symbol, not because they liked it. Allen Iverson wore a Yankee hat, and no one in Philly even cared.
Look, Bill Guerin played a couple of years with the Islanders. He wore a Red Sox hat at every time he wasn't in a suit, and no one cared at all.
Oh, he did that. He did totally to screw with everybody. You know Bill Guerin. I mean, that was totally to mess with people.
Yeah, but he's from Boston. He's a huge Red Sox fan. But no, my point is no one gave him
like Allen Iverson's a totally different personality for me.
Well, so are celebrities, and so is Mike. I mean, there's a common thing with these Yankees fans that Iverson and celebrities and Mike, they all have this one thing going for them. And that.
Well, let me just say a final thing. It's like the worst thing that Austin Matthews could do right now is change to a Blue Jays hat for one simple reason. No, for one simple reason. Not because but because it's the Rex Ryan effect. Rex Ryan was a Maple Leafs fan. He comes to Buffalo, and all of a sudden he's making millions of dollars. Terry Pagula is putting it in his pocket, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a Sabres fan now." Right. No, you're an idiot. Because if you're proud of being a fan of a team, then stay fan of a team. It doesn't matter who's paying you. But
unless you're playing in the same league as that other team, in which case, that's a.
This is where I give Charlie McAvoy credit because he knows that he's a Long Island guy, but he's drafted by the Bruins, and he actually said at the draft, "Now I will cut ties with my New York teams." Yeah. And I get that because he doesn't want to face any scrutiny because New York and Boston do really hate each other, and so some of that exists. But he diffused it immediately, and that's the way you should do it as an athlete. But it doesn't really matter if you wear a hat.
So moving to my final little bit about the story, okay? Because I know this we should have moved on a couple minutes ago, but here we go. I had a television show for a while called Flyers Buzz TV, and on that show, which I did with the Flyers and Comcast, I would drive players around in the back of my car. And I would interview them as we went along, and it was fun. And so I found this video of it, okay, of the episode where I drove Claude Giroux around, and this was before Giroux was a Flyer. The Flyers were on the road, and they were coming back home, and they were supposed to come back home. And it was a Tuesday. I was supposed to have, I forget who it was, but some player on the team. Giroux was still with the Phantoms, and the Flyers did a horrible road trip, and Hitchcock decided that they weren't going to come home, and they had to go to another road game. And they were going to come home, have like a day off, and then head back out again. He said, "No, we're staying out." So suddenly I was screwed because I had to have an interview done by Thursday, and I went to the Phantoms, and I went and I asked Claude Giroux, who I had just met, and so this is actually the first Giroux interview I think that was ever really done in depth about it. So I did this thing, and so this is a little bit of it. It's pretty funny. I thought this. So when I heard this, and I want to tell you something about how much people care about this kind of stuff. So here I go. I will share the screen. So this is So here's the show. So this is me, of course, driving, but it's coming in. So I drove around, and there's Claude Giroux. Look.
Oh, okay. Wait, there's a dinosaur back there?
The dinosaur is another story. That's a long story for another day. But I would always have an inflatable dinosaur behind the players when I interview them. But
he's wearing a Yankee hat.
He's wearing a Yankees hat, and now I showed this interview as typically was the case before it aired. I had to go, to the Flyers and show them what I was going to put on the air, and they had to approve it. So I went to the Flyers press, and I was home one afternoon. They're like, "You got to come in. We got to discuss the show with you." And it sounded like they were just going to cancel the show. I'm like, "Oh man!" I'm like, "All right." So I'm not close. So I'm like an hour away. So I drive in. I get there, and they pull this up, and they're like, "There is no way we're putting our future player on our television station with a Yankees hat on." And this is the Flyers. So teams do care about this. They did end up yielding and putting it on, but because I couldn't interview anybody else. But it was like so. But Claude was great, by the way. I should put a link. This is a really fun interview to watch because he was really legitimately nervous to do this interview because he had never done a big time interview before. I mean, I'm not a big time interview, but I'm like the first interview he could do. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. So when I saw the Austin Matthews thing, I had to bring that up because that was kind of cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
You know, I was there when Claude Giroux scored his first pro goal for the Phantoms.
Oh yeah.
And I got the first question with him, and I said, "Hey, do you think Bobby Clark will remember your name now?" And he started cracking up and said, "Yeah, I think he will."
Yeah, I know. Really, I mean, just.
Have you guys
man.
ever seen this picture of me? It was I think in 2010. It was like right. It was the season. I think that was the season where he started really become like people started to notice him on the Flyers. Let's see, and
Yep.
it was the Halloween game, and so my mom was like, "Yeah, people dress up for the Halloween game," and I was like, "Okay, we'll go. My friend and I will dress up." We had these cute little 70s girl costumes on, and we made signs. I thought I was hilarious when I made these signs. It said, "Giroux is groovy and the Flyers are far out."
Nice. Awesome. Hold on. Wait a second.
Yeah, keep talking.
This, yeah,
Jillian, keep talking.
So we were, the weirdest
they'll
thing
say it
was
because I can flick them.
so
I
when
can
we
change
showed
it.
up, we saw nobody dressed up. Nobody. So could you imagine being in that outfit and like seeing everybody walk by and all of a sudden you're like, where the hell is everybody dressed up? And we sat in the car for probably 15 minutes, terrified to get out because we we had these glasses on. You couldn't really see them in there. They were peace sign glasses.
Nice.
We had the go-go boots. I had white go-go boots that came up to my knees and were big heels. My friend had black go-go boots. And when we were walking, I said we were like mini celebrities. People were asking to get pictures with us, and like it was probably one of the craziest Flyers games I've been to. It was against the Islanders, and it was like 7-1 or something like that. It was just the wildest night. And so these guys come up to us, and they're like, "Hey, we had this box. We want you guys to come into our the luxury box with us." And we were like,
There
cool.
we go.
And they were like, "Can we get your number?" And so I thought, again, I think I'm hilarious sometimes. And I was like, "Oh, we're from the 70s. We don't know what a cell phone is," and like booked it away from them.
That's good.
Very
That's
nice.
well done. That's well
Good
done.
response. That's excellent. Oh man,
Good answer. Good
Good
answer.
thinking. Escape route. Bye.
I like when people come dressed up for Halloween. I think it's always cool. Man, I'm surprised.
People were dressed up, but when you think about 18,000 people,
Oh yeah. No,
when you
it
only
is.
have a couple hundred, you're not going to really see them in
Well,
the
they have
parking lot.
they always had a very funny thing where they always have a competition with the Halloween costumes, and it does get pretty. There's like 5 or 6 that are very good, and then after that it really isn't. There's only there's probably like 20 people in the arena, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of the Flyers, Braden Shen has come to terms with. It always sounds like to me that whenever I say come to terms, it always sounds like he's decided there's no other options but to do this. He's come to terms with the Philadelphia Flyers on a 4-year contract, about 5.2.
5.125.
Right,
Yeah.
5.125, give or take, and this is not what but it was really funny. Even yesterday, the Flyers media was sort of was saying this is not going to happen. The mainstream Flyers media was really kind of, we kind of thought it would happen. I didn't have any. There was definitely a game going on between the agent and Hextall, where they were both saying this is not going to happen. Right? That was for sure, and that which is usually typical. But it is amazing how arbitration just brings these things. It's a cool system when you think about it. How these things just get done.
I mean, Ron Hextall said himself, it's a deadline. He knows it's
Right.
a deadline, and they treated it as such. The only thing that's getting me mad about this is the people that think that it's an overpayment. It's like, if you think about it,
It's
I
not.
don't care. And listen, if you want to tell me he scored half his goals in the second half of the season, I don't care. At the end of the day, he was their 3rd leading scorer, their 2nd leading goal scorer. If he had gone to arbitration, he would have gotten more money for a 1-year salary. So just stop with the other nonsense.
I do think some people think maybe that it's too much because initially the first number they heard was in the $4 million. So all of a sudden, like, whoa, wait, why are we paying more? And I
Right.
think that's just some people, they initially hear a lower number and why is it more now? So I think that's part of it, but I would agree. I think that it's a pretty fair deal. And if he goes to arbitration, I don't want to know. I don't want to, because I don't want to pay too much more than that amount.
With all these guys, you're paying for unrestricted years, so the price is going to be jacked up. And if you look at the comparables, Jaden Schwartz was 5 years, 5.35.
Yeah.
Now Shen is 4 years, 5.125, and the Kreider deal was under $5 million for 4 years. So it's comparable, and I don't think it's a bad deal for the Flyers. I mean, the one thing is, and you have to say this about the Kreider deal and about the deal with Shen. The 4-year window, the 4-year term, leaves them the ability to turn an unrestricted free agent at age 28 or 29, and they will be able to, especially with free agency drying up, which we see it happening every year. Them hitting the open market as a 28 or a 29-year-old, they'll still be able to get a big long-term contract if they continue to put the numbers up that they're putting up right now. So that makes a lot of sense for them. That's probably not friendly to the team, but it's friendly to the player.
Yeah. No, I think so. I mean, I think what we usually end up with arbitration is if as long as players are within, when they say they're $1 million apart, I don't worry about it. Like when they say they're $3 million apart, I think about it. But $1 million apart, because everyone was freaking out yesterday that they were $1 million apart. I don't really think that's something that, I mean, as crazy as it sounds to anybody who works for a living, $1 million apart. But yeah, it should be something that would matter to you. But yeah, I think that they managed to find that they pretty much did cut it right in the middle on this one for the most part. As was to be expected a little bit. I will say this: the last lockout we had, I proposed to the NHL and the NHLPA. Like I was talking to them throughout the whole thing as usual, and I proposed to them at one point that why don't they put an arbitration thing into the NHL contract that if they couldn't solve it by a certain point in time, it would go to an arbitrator, and they would have to actually,
Yeah.
Because this to me that was like if they love arbitration so much, why don't they just do it with the NHL and the NHLPA? Just so because it would get done. The idea is these deadlines do get it done, and yeah, to me that's really
well. I mean, there's another example of that. I mean, it's not big news. Peter Holland from the Leafs agreed to a settlement today, but the difference between the offers, he asked for $2.1 million. The Leafs offered $900,000.
Right.
So
yeah, so you're talking about doubling, like it's significant. I mean, when you're doubling your salary, $1 million is doubling your salary. That's very significant, obviously.
And they ended up meeting, like not even halfway. It was like $1.3 million. So he got an extra $400,000 from the offer that the Leafs made. But the agent usually offers an amount that's so, or puts up an amount that's so ridiculous. And Holland had 9 goals last year, and $2 million for a 9-goal scorer is a little out of whack.
Here's the one thing that I've noticed though, and this is now a trend. We've seen it with Chris Kreider, we've seen it now with Shen, and we probably same thing with Johansson. What do you get? Did he get 4 or 5?
I think got 4.
He got 4 also. Okay, all around the same age. All are going to be free agents around the same age. So because the team didn't sort of choose them as core players, now all of a sudden, year 5, you're probably not going to be retaining that guy anymore unless things go great. And that's the one thing teams, this has now become a little bit like the NBA where if you don't pay enough attention to certain guys, this is the eventual outcome. Now, they've got Shen for 4 years, don't get me wrong, but in 4 years, that's maybe exactly when the Flyers are on the cusp, and then they really might need Shen for that 5th year that they couldn't sign him for because he wants to be a free agent. And that's also gonna play with Hextall's system because at 29, would Ron Hextall want to sign him to a 5 or a 6-year deal because that goes against his plan? So that's where this is all going to be tested down the road.
And more than likely, he's going to be looking at that point for that last big contract. He'll be looking for 6 or 7 years.
Right.
No, I think that's true.
I'm glad we had Dan. I wanted to throw this out there. Something.
Real quick, Ek. Damien is the one who made the donation. Flyers fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna send them a Nick Cousins ice rookie.
Very nice.
Nick Cousins ice jersey rookie. So
wow.
I'll just send there you go.
Oh, and I told Mike give him the Giroux card too, so he hit the jackpot.
Yeah, he hit the jackpot.
Thanks so much.
He did. Good work. Good work.
Good work, guys. And after this show, make sure you check out, go to patreon.com and look for the link that you'll see in on our little page there, the link that's only visible to people who donate $5 or more a month. So it's right there. You'll see it. And
okay, what were you going to say?
I was going to say this. The news coming out, and Jillian just posted in our chat, but I was going to talk about it as well, is that the fact that Twitter will live stream weekly games from the MLB and the NHL next year, that a deal has been struck. And Twitter's already live streaming NFL games.
Correct.
And that's kind of this. I don't know how this affects. A couple things I haven't figured out about this yet. Maybe something, Dan. Or I don't know. The concept here, obviously, this is done with MLB, ML BAM.
Right. BAM. Yes.
MLB Advanced Media. But the thought is, if you have Game Center, I think you're still getting the games. I don't think this changes anything. I think it's just another way of streaming it.
It says
Right,
on TechCrunch. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead, Jillian.
The article on TechCrunch says the live streams will be available for free to out-of-market viewers,
right?
Whether they're logged into Twitter or not. And Twitter is also going to have a nightly sports highlight show called The Rally, produced by the mobile video company 120 Sports. Yeah. And the Rally and NHL games will be available in the United States.
All right.
Okay. 120 Sports is 120 Sports is good. I have some friends from who work for them. They're based out of Chicago. I have some. They're good. They're online only. You guys should check them out. They cover all 4 sports. They do a really good job with hockey too. So
I've checked them out. Yes, I agree with you, Dan. They are good. Yes. I actually have their app on my phone.
I do too. Yeah, they do a nice job.
The first take is, the NFL stream was miserable for the game last year. Now, was that because it was in London? Maybe.
It's because they weren't using BAM.
Yeah, BAM does streaming well.
I mean, we have to see what happens with BAM and Twitter and how that interacts. We don't know how it's going to be yet. We assume it's going to be good, but the NFL one was horrible. The other thing is, I don't know. Now, I know for me, and again, I'm not probably the right demographic. I'm not watching a sport highlight show on Twitter. I might look and see if there's some sports news on Twitter, yes, but I'm not sitting on Twitter for half an hour watching a sports show.
But if you touch Twitter like so many of my friends have, you don't get ESPN.
Right, that's fair.
Right.
So
here's the thing too is
a year ago I didn't have ESPN and I was getting my stuff on Twitter. That's really where I was getting my news.
Okay.
If you just want to see a highlight or two and you don't want to sit through a whole thing, you go on Twitter and find the highlight, as opposed to sitting in front of the TV.
No, I think
it's great. I think they're really appealing to that audience who is cutting the cord, and to get in on that is huge.
It's a smart move, yeah.
They're not getting rid of the other stuff. Like, it's not like everything else is going away.
Right. The days of going to Sports Center for highlights, or even going to, I think there are some people who go to the ESPN website or other websites to look for the highlights. But I think the day of going at 11 o'clock and looking for highlights of something are over with.
This really isn't about highlights, though. This is honestly not about highlights. This is about engaging during the game, live stream. Like, the concept of Twitter is that that you go to Twitter to talk to your friends as the game's happening. That was a great play. I hated this.
I get it for the game. I do get why they're doing the game on there. I just hope it's better quality. That's all I'm saying. I think the game idea is fine. I'm saying for the highlight show, or obviously whatever the sports show is,
right.
I get that you might not want to go to Sports Center anymore, and I would guess that this is pretty much the death of the 11 o'clock news sports person on your local news channel too.
Right, and that's why I think what the NFL is doing with the red zone, where people are going in and checking out the scoring live, or what the MLB Network does with live cut-ins to games. That's where it's going, because it's instantaneous. It's when the events are happening. It's not waiting an hour and a half to see a highlight of something that happened that everybody already knows about.
Like, just to give you a little look behind the curtain, when we go through our rundown for, like, tonight, I'm doing the 6 to 9 MLB Tonight. Make sure you watch. 6 to 7 is completely scripted because no games are going on yet. So from 6 to 7, we have the entire show blocked out. As soon as 7:05 hits and first pitch hits, the rundown is pretty much the rundown for the next 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 50 minutes, is pretty much nothing. It's pretty much empty. Just some sponsorship elements, and that's it. Because the games are dictating what we're talking about.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think that you guys probably have some things you can go to if the games are horribly boring,
yes,
right?
Yes, we could. But you when you have 10, even if you have just 2 or 3 games on, you can tell a compelling story. And you have days where you have 10, 12, 15 games, and it's really easy.
Yeah, that last pitch was a foul. That last pitch was a ball.
Stop.
I can't. I'm finding anything compelling about this.
Actually,
some people think baseball is exciting and interesting,
No, Mike, here's the difference, actually. Trying to do that with hockey is hard. It doesn't translate as well because you can go to a game for 2 or 3 minutes and nothing happens.
Right.
Whereas when you're doing baseball, hey, Bryce Harper's up. Let's look at him. Okay,
right.
Mike Trout's up. Let's look at him. Those are just little instances. And even if nothing happens, you can still react off of it. Whereas you can go to a hockey game for 3 minutes and get 4 icings and 2 offsides.
No, you're actually.
This is a busy time of the year. We're close to the trading deadline.
I bust on baseball all the time. Sorry. I do find a time when I want to watch grass grow, and I go to baseball games. I do. I want that to happen.
What you need in that instance when there's 3 icings in like a minute and a half is somebody who can talk through anything. I don't know anybody like that.
To alleviate your I don't know anybody like that.
You need a certain intellect to watch baseball. I get that.
Oh yeah. To alleviate your concerns, Russ, on the streaming,
yes.
HBO. Okay, understand that what HBO had Game of Thrones on years ago, and they had a disaster streaming, right? And they went to MLBAM to fix that.
Okay.
So this is a company that there's absolutely, I mean, there's nothing worse. I mean,
there's no question. I would never argue that.
No, this is the best. I mean, if it can be done, they'll do it.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's conquered
doing
Twitter
Disney now
yet.
too.
Nobody's
what now?
conquered Twitter with the live streaming. Until someone conquers Twitter with the live streaming, I will give them the gold star the minute it's up there and it's clear and it's good. Trust me.
Well, like I said, it'll be fine. If BAM works for every other outlet, it's going to work for a live stream of Twitter for Twitter as well.
Yep. All right, let's talk.
Honestly, Twitter is just taking the same source that BAM's putting out, so it should work. Now, look, there might be some bugs the first couple days, but they'll get it going. Just like NHL TV, the first couple days it was buggy, then it looked better than actually looking.
It looks really good now. Yeah, NHL streaming. You can say all you want about the new website. The streaming is phenomenal.
Streaming's great.
Islanders,
let's move on.
Islanders in Belmont Park before we get on to number 5, which we want to talk about. So, Islanders in Belmont Park. What are your thoughts on this, Dan? It's an interesting story that's breaking.
Well, if you guys go to HockeyBuzz.com, click on my latest article. We got Jim Baalbeck. He was the guy from Newsday who broke the story on this.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down with him last night and then we interviewed him. And if anything more happens on this, we can definitely have him on the show again. He's becoming a friend of the show because stories are changing every week. It's interesting. Like, the first one came out with Willets Point, and I'm like, we've been talking about Willets Point for 15 years. It's still a bunch of chop shops. I don't see anything happening there. But then when you see a second story come out, where there's smoke, there's fire. Look, I don't know if this is just leverage to fix what's going on in Brooklyn. But you can make it clear that Jonathan Ledecky is the owner who is in charge of a hockey team. This is his hockey team, and if he doesn't like what he's getting in Brooklyn, he's going to go elsewhere. And it's going to be in New York, though. He made that very clear. It's funny, in his press conference, he didn't say he was committed to Brooklyn. He said, I am committed to New York, which opens up a lot of opportunities. And I actually think Belmont Park would be really good.
Yes.
Well, here's the inside stuff I heard a little bit on Belmont Park. And that is, look, I've been there, right? I lived on the island. Everybody's gone out there and partied, and it's great. But it's not what it used to be as far as attendance. Horse racing is sort of dying in attendance. They try to bring in gambling and other things. So they're looking for something else there to sort of keep people coming there and build attendance. And that is a good thing to have happen because otherwise Belmont Park can go the way of Roosevelt Raceway. And if you've never heard of Roosevelt Raceway, then look it up. But I even went there as a kid. And so I think this is a smart thing to sort of, if they want to keep Belmont going, keep the Islanders on the island, it makes sense. But the idea is that it's not happening tomorrow. The Islanders have like 4 more years on their deal before the out, and it will take that long for that place.
However, Baalbeck was reporting that the actual opt-out is next year. They can trigger. The Islanders can trigger it. Many people believed it was in year 4. It's actually after year 2. So this time next year, they could trigger that, and then they can negotiate and how they want to, which is very interesting.
But then they won't have a place to play. This place is not going to be built by them.
Right, but I'm sure they can negotiate something, a place to play in the meantime. They could probably stay in Brooklyn until they want. Look, I don't know, but I just find this whole thing fascinating that for 15 years the Islanders could not get an arena, even when they tried to pay for it themselves, and now they have multiple places courting them. That blows my mind.
Or they could go back to the Coliseum for a couple of years.
Well, it's under.
Yeah, they could go there for a year if it's ready in time.
Yeah, that's up to the NHL because it only has the 13,000 seats, which isn't spec.
Yeah, but the NHL does things like this as intermediate things all the time. This is not. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to go to that.
But the capacity.
I think a lot of this is leverage to fix what they want to fix in Brooklyn, starting with the ice.
True.
Starting with the ice.
Yeah.
The capacity at Barclays is only 15, isn't it?
15, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, 15 to 13 if they had to go someplace for a year or two. I mean, it's money, it's significant money. But if it's a situation where they're going to leave Barclays because the sight lines are lousy or whatever, I mean, they would have a place to go, and it would be sort of at least it's traditional. It's where they played before.
Here's the other thing. People have talked about it. We wrote about this in a couple of our Ranger books, but the New York Americans actually shared Madison Square Garden with the Rangers, and same as when the Yankees shared Shea Stadium with the Mets. I kind of wonder if that would ever happen. I don't think it would, but you never know.
Well, hey, it's a race of history. The Islanders never lose there, so that could work out. But with that being said, it's very clear, and I was told too that Jonathan Ledecky is an owner who wants to own a hockey team. That's all he wants to do. He also doesn't love the fact that the Islanders gave up control of their operations for the $50 million a year from Barclays. And I was actually told by someone with knowledge of the situation that Ledecky said he would rather make $15 million a year and have control of his hockey team, the marketing, the operations, all of that.
Wow.
So this is interesting. This is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
The only thing I'll say about this is when I was flying to Vancouver during the Olympics, I was with actually a bunch of Islanders people. And this is, of course, when Charles Wang still owned the team. And we were talking. I was on this plane forever, flying to Vancouver. And so I started talking to them about things, and they told me off the record at the time, which is a long time ago. They said, this team's eventually going to be there. That's what they told me it would be. They said it would be in Queens. It'll be at Belmont. And they said there's a plot of land there. They know exactly what it is. And this is just always fascinating to me that when this came out, I was like, oh wow, well. Maybe that.
And the interesting thing too is that land's owned by the state, so they don't have to go through the town and the county. Then the town and county is what kept everything held up in courts.
They told me that too, and I forgot. They told me that too.
Suffolk County is not as bad as Nassau County for corruption.
But Belmont is in Nassau, though.
Is it technically in Nassau? I thought it was far enough.
It's in Nassau. No, it's in no. You're thinking of Belmont Park. Belmont Race Park is in because Belmont Park is in Suffolk. Belmont Race Park is in Nassau.
Right. That's right. That's where I was getting confused. You're right.
So we've been doing the numbers game here, and I wanted to jump on before we get out of the show today, and then we'll be back, like I said, in a few minutes to do a show with Patreon people. We're going to talk some rumors and stuff like that as well. And we'll also get into the Leafs backup goalie situation as it's developing, and it just so stay tuned for that. All right, so
wow, yeah, people are paying for that. That's great.
Right. So we did number 4, and there's currently up there. The number 4 is crazy, of course. That's Bobby Orr versus Jean Beliveau. Really, there's nobody else. 2 of the best players of all time. 2 of whom were they number 3 or number 5 might win.
And Rob Blake, thank you.
And Rob Blake, right? But so there we have number 4. Now we're gonna do number 5. We're gonna start with Dan on number 5 because Dan's got to go, and I think that Dan has a obvious number 5 probably for us.
Yes, Ulf. No, number 5 for me. There's only one number 5. Look, all credit to the next guy you're gonna name, who wore a red jersey with white trim. I get that, great player. But you can argue that Denny Potvin's one of the top 3 or 4 defensemen of all time. Also, the other guy you're gonna mention too, you can put in that same. But for me,
on cue, his microphone is going.
I totally agree with you, and I mean, what can you say? You're still whistling about. They're still whistling about Potvin to this day, which is astonishing.
Right. If a group of fans think you still stink 30 years after you played or 20 years after you stopped playing, you did something right.
Yeah, and remember Potvin too. Like the thing about people, and actually to this day, I think Potvin's one of the better analysts on TV. Like when you actually.
Really good.
When you hear him interviewed on XM, or whenever I hear him on television and when I'm watching, I think he does a heck of a job.
Or the HockeyBuzzCast podcast, he was one of our guests.
Yeah, he's very good. All
right, guys, I got to run. All right.
So next we're gonna go to Jillian.
Whoa! Wait a second.
Wait a second. It's only fair.
I'm the one who picked the winning pick for number 4.
Doesn't mean anything.
What does that mean? Who cares?
I don't care, because I'm going to say the same one that somebody else is going to say, so somebody else...
No. Jillian gets to go now.
That's ramble on Jillian's choice.
Oh, so
that's really classy, Mike.
Yeah, really.
Mike can have it. I don't care.
No.
Again, I'm just going to say the one that everybody else is thinking. So.
Well, but you deserve a shot to say that because if you haven't gone second yet.
Okay.
I thought I went second when we did number 0.
I don't think so. Well, number 1, no, maybe no, you didn't go no, you didn't.
I did. I thought I did because I said Bernie Perron.
Yeah, but that wasn't second. That was like.
All right, Nicholas Lindstrom. Oh my God, Lindstrom. So.
Nicholas Lindstrom. Yeah, I mean. Geez.
Anybody surprised by that one? No.
Arguably the greatest European ever to play the game, I think.
And if you think about all the medals he won with the Swedish team too. I mean, he's not just the NHL. So.
No offense to Potvin, who I watched his whole career. I think Lidstrom was better. It's not by a lot, but he was better.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
It's hard, man.
It's a really hard one, but I think. I mean, they're so different, right? I mean, if you Lidstrom's just is such a better skater, and there's so many things about Lidstrom. Potvin was such a more physical presence for sure than Lidstrom was. So it's a tough one. I mean, they're totally different kind of defensemen. To compare them is tricky. I mean, I will say that Lidstrom is like, to me, I think he is the best European to play in the NHL. Now that's a lot of people don't.
For
agree
me,
with
it's not that difficult. Like I would pick Lindstrom over.
I don't think Lidstrom would say that. I think he'd say that Borja Salming was the best.
No, he probably would.
He's an even more hockey-like player, right?
But Nick Lidstrom was being humble because Borja Salming was amazing, but Nick Lidstrom is, I mean, literally the reason the Red Wings have this playoff streak going is probably because of Lidstrom through a couple of those years. I mean, he was literally good enough to get them in there a couple of years that they weren't all that great. So, I mean, that's my opinion. Mike, you can go third, though.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. I'll go with Rod Langway. Norris Trophy winner with the Washington Capitals, had a good early career with the Montreal Canadiens. The prototype of the stay-at-home defenseman. He'll probably end up finishing third behind Potvin and Lidstrom, so thank you for third place, everybody.
That's a good third place speech, Mike.
Russ, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Boom Boom Geoffrion. This is a guy who a lot of people only know from the light beer commercials. And look, I didn't watch him play either. But when you go back and analyze his career, he was way better than the jokester that he sort of, people showed him as. He was a 52 Calder winner. He was an Art Ross winner. He was a Hart winner. He actually won the Art Ross twice. He was a Hart Memorial winner. He won 5 or 6 Stanley Cups. He was a 50-goal scorer. With the time with his Leafs, the 14-year time with the Leafs, he was like 7 points short of a point-a-game player on a team stacked with guys, and probably you wouldn't even think of Boom Boom Geoffrion until you start thinking about it. And then he went to a bad Ranger team for 2 years, which that's what killed his point totals. But otherwise, very solid player, and this guy was great. I like Blake Geoffrion, who was his grandson. Yeah. He played in the NHL for a short time, had that head injury. But
played for the Predators for a bit there.
For the Predators, but I got to tell you, Boom Boom Geoffrion was a heck of a player.
Yeah, if you want some entertaining hockey, go to YouTube and search Boom Boom Geoffrion stick fight, and it's one of the most brutal stick swinging incidents I've ever seen. It's unbelievable. And he took a baseball swing at a New York Rangers player and knocked him out cold.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like today, would that ever be able to happen now? Would never be able to happen now. It's crazy. I totally agree. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit old school on this one. But I always liked this player because this is a player that my grandfather used to talk about this guy because he was a Bruins fan. Aubrey Victor Dit Clapper. Now, if you remember, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dit Clapper. I'm sure you are.
We all know one.
Anyway, he was the first NHL player. He's a Bruins player. First NHL player to play in 20 seasons as in the NHL, which is pretty interesting. And one of only 2 players to be an All-Star in the entire history of the NHL at both forward and defense. How about that?
That's great.
It's pretty interesting, right?
And he also invented the mechanism that shuts the lights off when hands.
No. He was part of the Dynamite line, which was in Boston, which was like the people often say is the first line to ever be called a line, some kind of line. That was that. And it's a really interesting character.
Is that the Woody Dumart Milt Schmidt line, or that's the Kraut line? Okay.
That's the Kraut line, yeah.
He broke all kinds of records. Like before Gordie Howe broke Dick Clapper's records. I mean, he was the guy. Like he was the one who had all the scoring records and all that stuff. He was just crazy. Towards the end of his career, he was a player's coach in the 30s, and then took over as a Bruins coach for a while. So I mean, we're talking, I mean, he was definitely playing very, very early in his career. But he was something else. He was, so there we go. So if you really want to go off the board a little bit, Dit Clapper. Let's watch this. Let's go out on the YouTube video of the stick fight. This will be fun. Hold on. Here we go.
Good old nostalgia.
A little nostalgic right here. The Boom Boom Geoffrion getting why he was named Boom Boom. We think that's why he's named Boom Boom.
Boom.
It's just like he took him out with his stick. Yeah. There he is, wearing the famous number 5, taking out a Ranger of all things, you know.
And then he became a Ranger, of course,
Isn't that
because
funny?
when your career's almost over, you join the New York Rangers.
Here it is
Drop
again.
him
For
like
those of
a
you who
bad
missed it.
habit.
He just looked at his stick, bam.
Oh.
You know, that would easily be a 30-game suspension now.
He makes Chris Simon look like an amateur.
Do you think
That's
that, I was gonna
crazy.
say, do you think that's actually like nowadays that might get him just is there get
I
him
think
kicked out of the league more or less? I mean,
He might get kicked out of the league for that.
that's
I mean,
a pretty bad one.
this is like this. I mean, he should have gotten kicked out. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a baseball swing.
That's a baseball swing at a guy's head, totally premeditated.
No helmet, nothing.
No helmet, just take him. I mean, that is insane.
Brutal.
And the Rangers player
There's
is
some
trying to protect
nostalgia
him.
for you guys,
What year was
right?
that?
Talk about the league then.
Wow, that was
funny, but it is
never
funny.
What year was that?
I don't know.
Mid-50s. I think it was mid-50s.
That's crazy. I mean, when you think about, I mean, that could be the worst stick swinging incident in the history of the NHL. I mean, honestly, I can't think of anything. I mean, I remember we talked about the others that are pretty bad, but like Donald Brashears and all that stuff. But my goodness,
Nothing like that.
nothing like that. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a few minutes. If you're a Patreon subscriber, if not, just go about your day and enjoy yourself. Hopefully you'll enjoy yourself on our Patreon show. We'll get into some rumors and stuff like that. So go to patreon.com, and in about 2 minutes' time, you'll see a link pop up there. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you soon.